Imagine waking up tomorrow and realizing that everything you thought you knew about life, about yourself, about the very nature of existence, was only the surface, a thin veil, and just beneath it lies a truth so alive, so electric, it could rewrite the story of your soul in a single breath. What if the man the world calls Jesus didn't only speak of love, compassion, and turning the other cheek, but whispered something far more radical, a hidden teaching about Sophia, the living, breathing essence of divine wisdom that has the power to awaken something ancient and unstoppable inside every single one of us. If that thought just sent a shiver through your chest, you're not imagining it. Pause right now. Drop a single word in the comments. Sophia. Let me know you're here, ready to remember what was almost lost. And if this already feels like it's speaking straight to the quiet seeker in you, hit that like button. It helps these forgotten truths find the souls who need them most. Because today, we're stepping behind the curtain. We're exploring what Jesus actually taught about Sophia. And trust me, it's way more dangerous than you think. Not dangerous like a threat or a curse. No, dangerous like a key that opens doors you can never close again. Dangerous like a flame that once lit refuses to be hidden under any bushel. For centuries, this wisdom was guarded, buried, spoken only in whispers by those brave enough to bear its light. Why? Because Sophia doesn't just comfort you. She transforms you. She calls you out of sleepwalking through life and into the raw, radiant truth of who you really are. Picture yourself standing on a quiet hillside at dawn, the same hills where those ancient words were first spoken. The air is still, and in that stillness, you hear it. Not a sermon, but an invitation, a call to remember the sacred feminine wisdom that lives at the heart of creation itself. A wisdom that doesn't ask you to believe blindly, but to awaken, to see, to become. And once you truly hear it, ordinary life starts to feel too small. The illusions that once held you begin to crack. And something inside you, something eternal, begins to stir. Stay with me, because what comes next will change how you see everything. To truly understand what Jesus taught about Sophia, we must travel back through the mists of time, long before the great cathedrals rose and doctrines were carved in stone. Sophia, the very word whispers power. In the ancient Greek tongue, it simply means wisdom. But this was never ordinary knowledge. This was divine, living wisdom, a radiant, feminine presence that danced at the heart of creation itself. Long before the time of Jesus, the sages of Israel spoke of her in sacred poetry. In the book of Proverbs, wisdom cries out in the streets, calling humanity to listen. She was there, they said, at the very beginning, standing beside the Creator as a master craftsman, delighting in the forming of the world. She was not separate from God, but the very breath and beauty of the divine. When Jesus walked the dusty roads of Galilee and Judea, he stepped into a world alive with these echoes. The land was rich with mystical traditions, where seekers hungered for direct experience of the sacred. Some scholars and ancient storytellers suggest that among his closest followers, he shared teachings far more intimate than those given to the crowds. In these hidden conversations, Jesus is said to have spoken of Sophia, not as a distant concept, but as a living reality, as the Holy Spirit of wisdom, the Comforter who would guide humanity into all truth. He pointed his disciples toward an inner awakening, a remembrance of the divine spark within. Centuries later, in the desert sands of Egypt, scrolls were discovered that painted a more mysterious picture. Texts like the Pistis Sophia revealed Jesus spending years after his resurrection, teaching his disciples about the fall and redemption of Sophia. These teachings portray Sophia as the soul of humanity itself, once whole and luminous, but having descended into the world of matter, forgetting her true home. Her story becomes our story, the longing to return to the light. Why has this wisdom been veiled for so long? Perhaps because it places the power of transformation not in temples or priests alone, but directly in the hands of the awakened heart. It suggests that the kingdom of heaven is not only coming, but already lives within us, waiting to be remembered through the embrace of Sophia. For over 2,000 years, mystics, philosophers, and quiet seekers have been drawn to this flame. From the early Christian Gnostics to medieval visionaries, from Renaissance thinkers to modern spiritual explorers, the idea of Sophia has refused to die. She represents the missing half of the sacred story, the divine, feminine wisdom that brings balance, intuition, and direct knowing. This teaching was considered dangerous because it invites every soul to become a Christ, to become a bearer of light, rather than remaining a passive follower. It dissolves the walls between the human and the divine, and once that boundary disappears, nothing remains the same. This is why the story of Sophia has survived in whispers, in symbols, in the hearts of those who dared to listen beyond the surface. And this is why it still calls to us today, in our noisy, distracted world, reminding us that true wisdom has never been lost, only forgotten, waiting for us to turn inward and remember. Let's step into the very heart of the teaching now, the part that has stirred souls for centuries and still sends ripples through anyone brave enough to listen. Imagine it's not 2,000 years ago, but right here, right now. You're sitting in a quiet circle with a handful of close companions, the kind of people who have walked dusty roads with you, shared simple meals, and asked the questions no one else dares to voice. The fire crackles softly, the night is vast, and the one they call the teacher leans forward, eyes bright with knowing, and begins to speak not in riddles for the crowds, but in the language of the awakened heart. He tells them that Sophia is not a distant idea written in scrolls or guarded by temples. She is living wisdom, alive, breathing, feminine, in her grace and power. She is the Holy Spirit herself, the comforter who does not merely console, but ignites. Jesus speaks of her as the very breath of the divine that moved over the waters at the dawn of creation. She was there, dancing, delighting, shaping the stars and the seas and the hidden chambers of the human soul. But then comes the part that changes everything. The part they say made some listeners tremble. Jesus reveals that Sophia is not only out there in the cosmos, she is within you. She is the sacred flame, burning quietly behind your ribs, the still small voice that whispers truth when the world screams lies. He teaches that the kingdom they have been waiting for is not a future event or a faraway place. It is already here, already inside every person who dares to turn inward and remember. He uses a simple metaphor that feels almost too intimate. The kingdom is like a pearl of great price, hidden in a field. A man finds it, sells everything he has, and buys that field. And in the quiet of that night, he explains, Sophia is that pearl. She is the treasure you already own, but have forgotten how to see. To awaken her is to sell every illusion you once clung to, the need for approval, the grip of fear, the habit of looking outside yourself for answers. He goes further. He speaks of Sophia as the bride waiting at the wedding feast of the soul. When you unite with her, something alchemical happens. The scattered pieces of your being come back together. You stop living as a wanderer and begin to remember you are the heir. This is the gnosis he points to. Not blind belief, but direct, lived knowing. Not faith handed down by others, but the unmistakable recognition that lights up your entire being from the inside. And here is why the teaching feels dangerous. It bypasses every gatekeeper. It needs no permission from any outer authority. Once Sophia awakens, you can never again be content with second-hand truth. You can never again shrink yourself to fit into systems designed to keep souls asleep. You begin to see through the illusions that once seemed so solid, the divisions between sacred and ordinary, between divine and human, between you and the source of all life. Jesus didn't present this as a comfortable doctrine. He presented it as a fire that warms, yes, but also consumes whatever is false, a fire that lights your path even when the road ahead looks dark. And in that fire, he said, you do not lose yourself. You finally become who you were always meant to be. This is the core of what he taught about Sophia. Not a secret to be hoarded, but a living invitation extended to every heart willing to listen. And once you truly hear it, something inside you shifts forever. The question is no longer, what should I believe? The question becomes, am I ready to remember? Stay close, because what we uncover next goes even deeper into the hidden layers that few have dared to explore. But the teaching of Jesus about Sophia goes far deeper than most dare to explore. In the private moments with his closest companions, he revealed that Sophia's journey is actually our own story, written across the cosmos. Ancient mystical accounts describe Sophia as the luminous soul of creation who, in her divine passion to know and to create, descended from the perfect light into the world of matter. In this descent, she became lost in layers of forgetfulness. She fragmented. She suffered. She longed to return home to the source from which she came. Jesus taught that this drama of the fallen and seeking Sophia mirrors the journey of every human soul. We are not merely physical beings having occasional spiritual experiences. We are sparks of Sophia herself, divine wisdom that has temporarily forgotten its radiant origin. The world we navigate daily, with all its distractions, fears, and illusions, is the very realm where this forgetting and remembering takes place. This is why the teaching felt so dangerous, because if Sophia truly lives as the sacred essence within you, then your spiritual awakening does not depend solely on any external authority or institution. Jesus pointed his followers toward an inner union, the sacred marriage between the human soul and the living wisdom of Sophia. He hinted at this through his parables. The woman who lights a lamp and sweeps her entire house until she finds the lost coin. Some saw in this the image of Sophia, searching relentlessly for her own scattered light within the human heart. The bridegroom and the wedding feast he spoke of carried a profound inner meaning. The moment when the soul unites with divine wisdom in ecstatic remembrance. In this holy inner marriage, opposites come together, the active and the receptive, the knowing and the being, the human and the divine. What was divided becomes whole. What was asleep awakens with unstoppable power. This path demands everything. To awaken Sophia is to allow a holy fire to burn through your life. It consumes the false identities, the limiting beliefs, and the comfortable half-truths we once lived by. Many relationships, ambitions, and worldviews that were built in a state of spiritual sleep may not survive the light of true wisdom. Yet from this sacred burning, something authentic, free, and eternally alive is born. This is the hidden danger Jesus' teaching carried. It liberates the individual in the most radical way possible. It says, you carry the kingdom inside you. You carry the light. You carry Sophia. And once you remember this, no power on earth can ever fully control your soul again. Jesus did not come to create another system of control. He came to set the divine spark free. And Sophia is the key that turns in the lock of your own heart. The question that echoes through the ages is no longer whether this wisdom exists. The only question that matters now is, are you ready to let her awaken within you? But knowing these ancient truths about Sophia changes nothing if they remain only ideas in your mind. The real magic happens when you begin to live them, when the living wisdom starts breathing through your everyday choices, your quiet moments, and even your hardest days. Start simple. Each morning, before the world rushes in, sit for just 5 minutes in stillness. Close your eyes and place one hand gently over your heart. Whisper inwardly, Sophia, awaken within me today. Don't force answers. Just listen. You may feel nothing at first, but over time, you'll notice a subtle warmth, a gentle nudge, a quiet knowing that feels strangely familiar. That is her voice, soft, steady, and always loving. It never shouts. It simply reminds you who you truly are. Throughout the day, practice the sacred pause. When a difficult decision appears, when anger rises, or when fear tries to steer you, stop, breathe. Ask yourself one quiet question. What would wisdom choose here? Not what the world expects, not what your old habits demand, but what feels aligned with that inner flame of truth. At first it may feel awkward, even risky. Yet each time you choose her guidance over noise, something inside you grows stronger. Illusions start to lose their grip. Another powerful practice is the mirror of remembrance. Every evening, take a few moments to reflect. Write in a simple journal. Where did I see Sophia today? In a stranger's smile, in the beauty of a sunset, in my own courage to speak honestly. And then ask, where did I forget her? Be gentle with yourself. This isn't about judgment. It's about gently calling your scattered light back home. Over weeks and months, you'll begin to see patterns. You'll notice how fear kept you small and how choosing wisdom set you free. Sophia also awakens through your relationships. Practice seeing the divine spark in every person you meet. When someone frustrates you, remember they too carry this same hidden wisdom, even if it's buried under layers of forgetting. Offer patience, offer presence. In those small acts of compassion, you are not only helping them, you are fanning the flame of Sophia within yourself. And when life feels heavy, when loss or confusion clouds your path, return to the simple truth Jesus pointed toward. The kingdom is within. Walk in nature. Feel the wind on your skin. Watch a leaf dancing on the breeze. In those moments, let yourself remember you are not separate from the sacred dance of creation. Sophia is moving through everything, inviting you to move with her. These practices don't require special robes or secret ceremonies. They ask only for your sincere attention and your willingness to change. The more you invite her, the more your life begins to rearrange itself around truth, beauty, and quiet power. Old fears dissolve. New possibilities appear. You stop living as a victim of circumstance and start moving as a co-creator with the wisdom that shaped the stars. This is where the teaching becomes truly alive and truly dangerous. Because once Sophia stirs within you, there is no going back to sleep. You begin to walk this world awake, radiant, and free. And so, dear seeker, as the echoes of these hidden teachings settle deep within your chest, let us pause and truly feel what has been revealed. Jesus' words about Sophia were never meant to be just another beautiful story from the past. They were a living flame, passed from heart to heart across the centuries. An urgent reminder that the divine wisdom you have been searching for outside yourself has been quietly burning inside you all along. She is the sacred spark that turns ordinary moments into miracles, fear into courage, and separation into unbreakable oneness. This is the dangerous beauty of the teaching. Once Sophia awakens, you can never again settle for a half-lived life. You begin to walk this earth with eyes that truly see, a heart that truly feels, and a presence that radiates quiet, unshakable power. The illusions that once chained you start to fall away, and in their place rises a freedom so complete it can feel almost overwhelming at first. Yet, it is the most natural freedom in the world. The freedom of finally remembering who you are. Take a slow, deep breath right now. Feel her there, in the center of your being. She has never left you. She has only been waiting for this exact moment when you were ready to listen. The world may still look the same when you finish this video, but you will not be the same. Something ancient and radiant has stirred, and every choice you make from this day forward can become an act of remembering. So here is my final invitation to you. Carry this flame gently. Let it warm you when the nights feel long. Let it guide you when the path seems unclear. And whenever doubt tries to creep back in, return to the simple truth Jesus pointed toward. The kingdom, the light, the living wisdom of Sophia is already within you. You are not waiting for salvation. You are the salvation remembering itself. If these words touch something deep inside, come back to this video whenever you need to rekindle the fire. Share it with one person whose soul feels ready to awaken. And above all, trust the wisdom that now moves through you. Until we meet again in the quiet spaces between thoughts, may Sophia walk with you every step of the way. You are home. You have always been home.